Hey, Dr. Mike here. So you want to live forever-ish? Well, you got to know what's in and what's not. Stay tuned to find out.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. This is the In and Out. This is where we discuss the latest findings to help all of us live stronger. Live a whole lot stronger and a little longer.
I think that was it. I think it was a little bit strong, a little bit longer, and a whole lot stronger.
That's it.
Our new tagline.
I flipped it.
That we can't remember.
I know. That's not good. All right, but anyways, here we're going to go. The first in, this is what you want to do. It's a great step in, it looks like, in helping glucose issues, and that is elderberries.
Yes, and most people think about elderberry for immune stuff. Immunity.
I do too.
Yes, and hey, it's full of antioxidant polyphenols, specifically anthocyanins, particularly high in that type of polyphenol compared to other berries. So yes, we do see research where it can support immunity, but now we're kind of branching out into other areas of health.
Yeah, I love it. So in this case, this was elderberry juice, and the focus was on glucose tolerance issues in people who were overweight or obese, right?
Yes, and these individuals, overweight or obese, according to the classic parameters or ways to measure it, but who did not have other chronic health conditions. So I think that's important as well. Of 18 volunteers, a little bit lower, participant, but it was a crossover study,
which is good.
Which kind of brings it up.
Yeah, I don't think statisticians would like us to say it almost doubles, but it doesn't. Because when you think of it, you can kind of see how, well, you kind of become your own placebo, so maybe it's more like almost 40 people, but no, they don't like that. But it's crossovers allow you to have more trust in the data when it's smaller numbers.
Absolutely. Right. And then, when you have that individual being their own control, then you know that
it's good.
The outcomes that you're seeing in that person, they are real.
Yeah. 5-week crossover. They had 1 week. Let's make sure I get this right. Okay. 1 week. They had the juice, the elderberry juice. And then the third week would be a washout, and then the next 1 week they would flip whatever it was. So if I was on juice, I'd be on placebo now.
Correct, for that.
Or if I was on placebo after the washout, I'm on juice now.
Yes.
Okay, and this was 5.5 fluid ounces of high antioxidant elderberry juice versus that placebo twice daily, mornings and evenings with meals. What did we find out?
Well, let's just back up, because one other thing that they that I thought was just brilliant.
Oh, I see it here. I know where you're going.
Yeah. So it was the 1 week on whatever intervention, the juice or the placebo, but the last 4 days of that week, they controlled your diet.
Yeah.
And not just giving you a diet plan and say, hey, this is what you should eat. They
gave the food.
They gave them everything, pre-packaged, single serving food for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
So, these are the steps that you can take when you do have a lower number of participants.
It's good control. Yeah, it's good control. And, doing it that way, you're able to limit maybe some of the other polyphenols that they might get from their diet that could be interfering with the elder. Now, I don't want to say interfering, but if you're allowing them to eat a full polyphenol diet and you're studying a single polyphenol, how do you know which one is doing it?
Right. And that was the other piece. Throughout the entire time, there was a list of high polyphenol foods that the participants were told to avoid.
I love it.
So with that, the researchers saw blood glucose levels reduced by 24% in the elderberry group compared to placebo. Insulin levels reduced by 9% compared to placebo. They also saw increased breakdown of fatty acids, fat oxidation, which means you're essentially burning more calories when you're eating high carbohydrate foods.
That's really interesting. And they also looked at gut microbes and stuff, and found that there was an increases in bacteria considered beneficial.
Yes.
Right.
And I think we said this was published in the journal Nutrients.
I don't think I did. I forgot.
2024, if you want to kind of find the full text.
Yeah.
The full text is available.
Elderberry expanding its uses. Right? Beyond the immune system. Hey, that would make a nice blog or something. Elderberry. Beyond the immune system. All right, let's move on to in number 2. Again, these are the things you want to do, you want to have, you want to succeed in, you want to take, whatever. They're going to help you live that stronger, more vibrant life that we want. Maybe a few years. Sure. I don't know. We'll see. This one I find interesting. Well, anytime we talk about omega-3s,
yes,
they're so foundational to me.
They are. And this, when you talk about foundational, most people think about omega-3s and heart health. And that's what this study is showing, that, we continue to see more evidence that omega-3s are associated with better heart health.
Absolutely. Though I will say, little caveat, there's so much more than just heart.
Yes.
they do so much in your body. I know. Again, but let's all of it. That's what's so good about. That's why I consider them honestly foundational. But let's talk about this one. Here the authors were looking at your plasma levels of omega-3s, right? How much is floating around, right?
Right.
And then comparing that to incidence of heart failure.
Yes.
Right. And so ultimately, this kind of stuff is observational. It's not, they're not saying a low level of omega-3s is a cause of heart, anything like that. They're just looking let's just take a look. Let's take a look at the incidence of heart failure and compare it to people's levels. That's all.
It's contributing to the body of evidence that we have. And not only the incidence of heart failure, but those who already have a diagnosis of heart failure and looking at their mortality. Yeah. So if you have heart failure, are you dying as a result of that heart failure? Right.
And how do omega-3s maybe impact that, right?
Correct.
Ultimately. So in this group, this was from the UK Biobank. This is a prospective cohort study. From the UK, and all of these recruits here were brought into the study, I think between 2007 2010, and it's common for authors to go into these kind of data banks, and look for some of this observational information.
That's
very
right.
common, and there's nothing wrong. It's actually very hypothesis generating. That's why we do these things. And so you're right. They had. They looked at incident heart failure in those without a baseline heart failure, and then they looked at total and cardiovascular mortality in those with heart failure at the beginning of this, and then line that up with omega-3s.
Right.
What'd they find?
Yes, and so after about a median of 13.7 years, the researchers found that in suggesting that higher omega-3 levels are associated with a lower incidence of heart failure and reduced mortality in patients with pre-existing heart failure. Specifically, those with the highest omega-3 levels had a 21% lower risk of developing heart failure and about a 50% lower risk of all-cause and cardiovascular mortality compared to those in the lower levels. So they're kind of saying, okay, let's look to see if your levels were higher. Seems like
it's you want higher levels.
Increasing your risk of and I love the all-cause mortality piece. That's, the risk of you dying
from anything. All cause plus cardiovascular. End of the day, take home story. Omega-3s are foundational. Eat them, supplement with them, cook with them, whatever, right? Do it. Get your omega-3s.
Get them in the best way you can. Be consistent. Take them with food.
Which is why I think the supplementations, and just for me, using omega-3 add-ins, nutrient add-ins. You see that what I did there?
Yes.
I think is important because, let's be honest, even if you're trying to eat healthy, we're not always getting probably enough omega-3s every day. We're just probably not. So that, to me, an add-in is really important.
But I think what's more important, and you were talking about this, is testing your levels.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's what this is all what it's all about.
I was going to bring that up, and I totally forgot. Yeah, at the end of the day, this is what's great because you can actually test your levels and know where you're at. And as a matter of fact, those kind of tests, it goes way beyond just even omega-3s.
Right. They're testing really a full omega panel, and it's giving you a nice ratio between the omega-3 versus the 6, which tends to be more pro-inflammatory. So it's really gives you a good look into, maybe you should up your dose.
Or maybe you're doing good.
If you're taking it, maybe you need to adjust how you take it. Make sure you're taking it with a fatty meal, and so test those levels if you can.
All right, there you go. More omega-3s, good for heart. At the end of the day. All right, let's move into number 3. This is nicotinamide riboside and peripheral artery disease. I think we first need to remind people what NR is, nicotinamide riboside, right?
Oh, yes. So it's a precursor to NAD.
Yeah.
NAD is kind of our coenzyme. It's involved with cellular respiration, mitochondrial. Energy. Production, mitochondrial performance.
Yeah. I was telling an audience once, if you really think about it, because it is amazing, right? That we can eat something and turn that food energy or whatever you want to call it, because the energy is locked up in things there, right? And we can extract those electrons. We can pull out those things that we get energy from and make cell energy.
I mean,
think about it.
Amazing.
What an amazing system.
It's amazing, and really understanding all of this is coming from the earth.
Yeah. And NAD plays a role in that process of getting those, because that's really what it is. It's a flow of electrons. I know, don't comment. People are going, I'm oversimplifying it. I'm doing it on purpose. But ultimately, that's what it is, right? It's extracting those electrons. They move into the mitochondria. Whatever. It's an amazing process. NAD is key to that process.
Yes. And then nicotinamide riboside, or NR, is a vitamer of vitamin B3, niacin.
See?
And
Simple.
it's one of the most efficient precursors of NAD.
Yeah, it's there are other ones out there that people like to tout. I don't want to get into all that, but at this point, NR is the research supported form you need to be taking to raise NAD levels. And I'm not. Maybe that changes in the future with new. I'm not. Well, that's fine. But right now, it's NR.
I'm happy you said that because we have the data to show.
It works.
Yeah. It
actually increases NAD liver. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, so they're using NAD. Keep in mind what it's doing with all that energy and stuff in what's called PAD, peripheral artery disease. This is where you got some blocked arteries in your legs, basically, and you'll feel it in your calves and stuff. You can't walk very far without pain. You got to stop. You got to rest. When you do rest, the pain goes away, and then you walk again, the pain comes back. That's very consistent with PAD.
Right, and very few effective treatments exist.
Nothing really works other than exercise. More and more. I know, and that sounds weird.
More movement.
It does. But people always say, "Well, I can't walk that far because it hurts." And I get that, but it's like if you can just go a little farther each day, it does get better. But they are always dealing with, at some point, pain where they got to stop and rest.
Right. And so this study was evaluating if individuals took nicotinamide riboside or nicotinamide riboside with resveratrol, can they walk further?
Yeah.
So it was all about...
Because that's what the goal is.
Exactly.
Walk further without pain.
There you have it.
And if you're doing that, that's a marker of success. What's the thing with resveratrol here? And I think it has something to do with working well with.
Well,
NAD
yes, it may. Well, it kind of goes back to how NAD works in the body, and one of its mechanisms is that it helps to support some of our. I don't want to. Longevity genes, some
the SIRT
of our
genes.
The
they know.
SIRT
I think most
genes.
people have heard of those SIRT genes.
Resveratrol is also beneficial for supporting the SIRT gene, and so you do find sometimes NR or NAD combined with resveratrol.
Yeah. I remember when the discovery of the CERT genes happened, and it took a while to kind of get excited in medicine and nutrition about it. But we were so naive because we thought we understood now longevity, and it was just really what the CERT genes did is they showed us how much we don't know. About longevity, because there's so many other things that are going on to impact longevity. But these are genes that play a role in keeping cells healthy at the end of the day. That's how I always see it.
Right, and energy metabolism as well. And so the participants took either 1,000 milligrams of NR or nicotinamide riboside, or 1,000 milligrams plus 125 milligrams of resveratrol, or a placebo 6 months, and the outcome measured was the 6-minute walking distance. And ultimately there was an increase in 6-minute walking distance at follow-up compared to a decrease in the placebo
They got
group.
worse.
And one thing I thought was kind of interesting in this study, I started reading, and they were comparing or identifying compliance in the participants, because this is a 6-month study. And so you're asking people to be compliant and take this intervention for 6 months every day. And we know that's asking a lot.
There's no such thing as 100% compliance in these kind of cases, unless you are literally having them come into the clinic and you are handing them the pill.
Yes.
And that does happen sometimes.
That happens, but then people drop off because now they have to come.
Yeah, now I don't have to. Yeah, so it's
But when there was at least 75% adherence to the program, the improvements in walking distance was even more compared to 22, around 23 feet. It increased to 101
with the resveratrol added. Yeah.
No, 101. And this is taking both versions, but it's really about their compliance. So you have to
when they're 70. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. Yeah. So let me restate this for my brain. When there's just 75% compliance, which is not great.
Right. Yes.
I mean, again, we as physicians, we want a clinician, we want 100. I don't even have 100%. So how can I ask patients to have 100%? But 75% is not great. But if you did that,
but it's realistic.
It's realistic. I agree. Still would try to get better, but 75% you showed the best. Because some people might have improvement and they were only at 50% compliant.
Right. Yes.
Boy, oh boy! Listen, if you're going to be committed to something, well, what do we always say? If you're going to invest some money in nutrient add-ins, let's just focus on those for a sec. Something like, nicotinamide riboside or omega 3s, whatever. If you don't take them, they don't work.
Simple as that.
I mean, I don't. So you're investing your money will get your return.
Absolutely.
And of course, you can say that about anything, medicine too. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Get some nicotinamide riboside, and hopefully, if your legs hurt, talk to your doctor, and maybe it'll get a little better. Try it out.
Just a little bit.
Well, now 90 people. That's still small. So this, what I think now that they showed that this can work, this needs to be expanded.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, this needs to go to 1,000 people with PAD in these different arms and testing it out. Okay, let's move now to the out. This is what you don't want. These are the things that are going to inhibit you living strong, vibrant life. This out may be more on the vanity side.
I was going to say, when you say it like that, Dr. Mike, I don't know how applicable this out is.
But I'm connecting it now. I'm going to do it. I'm just saying, but part of living, forever-ish is we do want to look good. And for a lot of people, losing their hair, it is stressful and it is an issue. And that stress and stuff's not good.
Yeah, and it can
see how I made that connection?
Self-image, confidence. However, I did find this. There seems to be a connection between hair loss, specifically the hair loss related to hormone levels, and oxidative stress and inflammation. So your hair loss could be a sign of something else going on in the body.
So you're telling me that oxidative stress and inflammation in the hair follicle can be damaging, just like the rest of my body? Duh. Yes.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. So although we're saying, hair loss is our out, it's not just about the hair loss. It's really about inflammation and oxidative stress.
Yeah, those things you don't want. And how do you combat those? Right. With good natural anti-inflammatories and some really good polyphenols. And
Simple
so in this case, high antioxidant intake may help protect against hair loss, right? And that's I mean, again, if you also, you think about it's like, I don't what do you want to call them? Like pillars of why we age, or the big theories, right? Oxidative stress and inflammation are at the top of the list.
Oh, for sure.
Right? You can get into hormonal loss and different breakdowns of genes. It's complicated. But at the top of the list, these are two driving pathological forces in your body that based on food, based on age, based on environment. I mean, right? There's a lot of things going on. Controlling them are key. So what do we have here? What do we got?
So this study, let's see. This study was published in Frontiers in Nutrition, August 2024. And there were about over 9,600 or so men and women who were part of a cohort. And of the participants, 24% had metabolic syndrome. The participants were given a food frequency questionnaire that identified the antioxidants in their diet, as well as identifying foods that were more likely to be pro or anti-inflammatory. And it was all included in this, inflammatory index. And ultimately, the results more only statistically significant in the women. So what we're looking at is data in the women, but the women, those individuals with the highest dietary intake status, was associated with a 10% lower odds of
antioxidant status.
Yes.
Dietary. Yeah. Okay.
Dietary antioxidant status based on their 125 item food frequency questionnaire.
I mean, again, this kind of stuff it's good. It's interesting information, right? We know that there's a pathological process, or what we call an etiology with hair loss, with oxidative stress, inflammation, and then it's nice just to kind of start piecing some information together. Well, if I look at people who have lower oxidative stress, lower inflammation because of certain food items. And you can then connect that, associate that to improvement, at least for women, in hair. It helps to complete that story.
Right. But you also find that if you are on hair loss medications, sometimes more inflammation makes those drugs not work as well.
Oh, inhibits them a little bit. Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So, yes, you want to manage inflammation, and you want to eat the foods that, and I guess we should tell them high antioxidant foods would be.
You're the nutritionist. Give us
rainbow.
The rainbow.
Your fruit, your vegetables.
Lots of deep, dark
colors. Yeah, the dark colors.
Dark
like
stuff.
What we talked about.
Blackberries, blueberries, raspberries.
Yep. But also the greens.
Yeah,
the yellows.
Yeah, bringing the
Think
greens
about
along.
Your carotenoids. Come on, the orange, the yellows, the bright greens. You just want as much color as possible on your plate, not red number 3 or 4.
I know. To me, the whole rainbow thing makes a lot of sense because I know I grew up in a time when the average dinner plate was brown, a brown meat. You had mashed potatoes with a brown gravy on it and a brown piece of bread. That was dinner.
But I think also
it's great dinner too.
As a nutritionist, it's a great way for people to just kind of be able to look down and make an assessment.
Quickly. You could quickly look at your plate and say, all right, this is good.
Yeah.
Look over here. Be careful. Not saying don't eat it. Just, watch it. Be careful. There you go. Those are the 3 N's. And the one out for living foreverish. Living living a little longer, but a whole lot stronger. So I got to remember it's the living first, then the stronger. I want to reverse that in my brain.
It's just, but I love it.
I
just
came up with it,
a little bit
too.
longer.
I came up with it.
You did, Dr. Mike.
You should write it down for me. You should include it in this template. Anyways, that's the 3 ins and outs for Living Foreverish. Don't forget, you go to liveforeverish.com where, gosh, I have tons and tons and tons of episodes you can download, like, and share. We're asking now, hey, review. That's becoming really important on like Apple, iHeart, some of those other ones out there. Really important. So do us a favor. Give us some stars. That just helps to move us up.
That's right.
Everybody,
Thank you.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you like show, do it. That's at liveforeverish.com. If you go over to lifeextension.com, you can use the discount code podcast and get 10% off $50 or more plus free shipping and handling. That's at Life Extension because our sponsor wants to say thank you.
That's right.
I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
Thanks for listening.